All right, let's dive into another topic today. Have you ever wondered, like really wondered, if your cat actually loves you?
Yeah, it's a question I get a lot, actually.
I bet. We've got some great articles to dig through today on this one. From Comfort Zone, Modcat, Newsweek, and The Conversation.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of different perspectives. Should be interesting to see what they all say.
Definitely. So Comfort Zone and Modcat, these two articles right off the bat, they both agree that cats, yeah, they can show love, but it's different. It's not like a dog.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're not going to get a big slobbery kiss from your cat.
Definitely not. But the Newsweek article, this one goes a bit deeper. They talk about like the whole evolution thing, how cats and dogs are just wired differently. Yeah.
Exactly. Dogs, those guys, they evolved in packs. Like, they had to be all out there with their emotions so the whole group knew what was up.
Yeah, made sense for them.
But cats, they were lone wolves, like, literally. Solitary hunters.
Mhm.
So they didn't need to broadcast their feelings. No need for all that drama.
So basically, their ancient lifestyles kind of shaped how they talk to each other and how they talk to us.
Right. It all goes back to that. But here's the thing that I found super interesting. Comfort Zone, they bring up this study from 2019 and it flips that whole aloof cat thing on its head.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Basically, they found that the way cats get attached to their owners is like eerily similar to how human babies bond with their parents.
That's kind of wild when you think about it. They use that secure base test, right? The one they use with babies.
Yep, exactly. So picture this. They put a baby in a room, it's totally new to them, and their parents there. Then the parent leaves for a bit, comes back, and they watch how the baby reacts to see how attached they are.
Interesting. So they did that with cats and their owners.
Yeah. And guess what? A good chunk of those cats, they were totally stressed when their owner left, and then when they came back, they wanted all the comfort they could get.
Oh, that's kind of sweet, actually.
Mm.
So it's more than just like wanting food or a warm spot to snooze, right?
Right. Like they actually want to hang out with us. They want our company and they want to feel safe. Just like dogs, they just show it in their own way.
Okay, so if they do love us, how do we figure out what they're trying to tell us? Comfort Zone gave a bunch of things to watch for.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Slow blinking, purring, of course,
Yeah.
head bunts, following you around. All those things can mean they feel good around you, like they trust you.
Oh, I've heard that the tail is a big giveaway too.
Oh, yeah, how so?
The conversation article mentioned that. A tail that's up and kind of curved. Friendly vibes for sure. But if it's tucked down low or between the legs, they might be scared or nervous.
Good to know. And don't forget about all the rubbing they do. That's all about scent. Modcat explained that.
Oh, yeah, right. Like when they rub on your leg, they're marking you with their scent, basically saying, you're my crew now.
Exactly. It's a cat compliment.
Yeah.
So we should feel honored when they do that. But all this subtlety, it can backfire sometimes, can it?
Yeah, definitely. Newsweek pointed out that cats, well, they just don't have the same facial muscles as dogs. They can't make those over-the-top expressions.
So they're kind of stuck being subtle, using body language and scent signals, which a lot of times we just miss entirely.
And that leads to misunderstandings. We think they're aloof or unfriendly when they're actually trying to show some love.
It's like we're speaking different languages, I guess.
Yeah.
We want those big, obvious displays. And when we don't get them, we think, oh, the cat doesn't care.
But what if we're just misinterpreting what they're trying to tell us?
So there is hope for those of us who think our cats secretly despise us.
There's always hope. That's what we're going to talk about next. How can we use all this stuff we're learning about cat communication to understand them better and build a stronger bond?
That's what I want to hear. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here.
So, to really connect with a cat, you got to see the world from their point of view. They don't experience things the way we do, and that goes for how they communicate too.
Okay, so it's like we need to learn to speak cat. Right.
Exactly. And part of that is ditching our own ideas about what affection should look like. There's this cat behavior expert, Mikel Delgado, quoted in the Newsweek article, and she's all about this. She says cats often prefer little interactions throughout the day instead of those big cuddle sessions we try to force on them.
So maybe skip the whole picking them up for a hug thing and focus more on those quick head scratches, short play sessions.
Yeah, exactly. Respect their space, understand their way of showing love. It's all way more subtle.
Speaking of subtle, the Newsweek article also said that cats aren't always motivated by food, which I thought was weird.
I know, right? It's more about play, exploring, being social. Remember, they're hardwired to be hunters. So tapping into those instincts, that's a great way to connect with them.
That makes a lot of sense. It's all about meeting them in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Understanding how they talk to us and appreciating those little ways they show they care.
Exactly. And that reminds me of that study, you know the one, about whether cats understand when we point at things.
Oh, yeah. They were just as good as dogs, weren't they?
It was pretty amazing. Showed a level of social intelligence that we don't always give cats credit for. And it proves they really are paying attention to us, even if they seem totally zoned out.
It makes you wonder what else they're picking up on. If they get pointing, what other cues are they reading from us?
Newsweek had another study about that. Researchers played recordings of cat owners saying different words, including the cat's name.
Wait, so they played the cat's name. And what? Did the cat react?
A lot of them did, moving their heads, twitching their ears or tails, even looking right at the speaker.
No way.
Yeah.
So they do know their names. And their owners' voices, too. That's pretty cool.
Right, but can they actually understand the meaning of what we're saying? That's still a bit of a mystery. But there is some evidence that they can at least pick up on the emotion in our voices. One study found that, you know that high-pitched baby voice we all use with our pets?
Yeah, totally guilty of that.
Well, the cats reacted way more to that than when their owners used a normal tone of voice.
Interesting. Like, they've learned how to understand those little cues in our voice, just like babies do.
Exactly. It seems our cats might understand us way more than we realize. And the more we learn about how their brains work, the more we see how complex and subtle their communication really is.
So what about that whole thing about cats being untrainable? You hear that all the time, right?
Total myth. Newsweek actually talked about a bunch of studies that prove cats are awesome learners.
Didn't one of the studies give cats a choice between food, toys, smells, and hanging out with their owner?
Yeah. And you know what? Something like half of them chose their owner over everything else.
Really? So they do want that connection with us.
They totally do. And once the researchers figured out what each cat liked best, they were able to train them to do all kinds of things. Sitting, shaking paws, even fetching.
So it's not that they can't be trained, we've just got to figure out the right way to do it.
Exactly. Find the right motivation, figure out what makes each cat tick. It's all about the right approach for each cat.
This is also interesting. It's like we're figuring out this whole secret cat world, all these emotions and ways of communicating that we never knew about. And it makes you wonder, like, what do they think about us? If they're so good at reading our emotions and knowing our routines, I bet they have opinions about us, our habits. Maybe they're judging us right now.
Now, that is an interesting question. It's fun to think about. But one thing's for sure, they definitely see us as more than just someone who feeds them and gives them a warm lap. They really do bond with us, even if they don't always shout it from the rooftops.
Okay, so next time my cat gives me that slow blink, I'll know what it means. It's their way of saying, hey, I see you, I trust you, maybe I even love you.
Ah, that's sweet. And who knows, maybe they're thinking about how we could be better humans too.
Good point. So after all this, what have we learned? What should cat owners take away from all this?
I think the biggest thing is cat love is a real thing. They might not show it like we expect, but it's there, trust me.
We've just got to learn to recognize it. Those slow blinks, the head bumps, rubbing on our legs, those all mean something.
Exactly. It's like their own special language.
Yeah.
And it's worth taking the time to understand it, you know. Cats are super perceptive. They watch us all the time, picking up on our moods, our routines. They may not always show it, but they get attached to us.
It's like we're cracking a code. And once we get it, it opens up this whole new level of connection with them.
It really is. It's like this whole hidden world was right there in front of us all along. And the more we learn, the more we realize how complex and deep their behavior is.
And part of all this is realizing that building a bond with a cat, it takes time. It's got to be on their terms. We can't force it.
Yeah, for sure. Respect their space. That's key. Remember Miguel Delgado's advice? Go for those little interactions throughout the day.
Like quick head scratches, some playtime, a little grooming if they let you.
Yeah, exactly. And when they do something you like, give them some praise or maybe their favorite toy. That'll help build that bond, encourage them to do it more.
But what about when they seem distant? Is there anything we can do to, I don't know, get them to be a little more affectionate?
Well, first things first, make sure there's nothing medically wrong. Sometimes if their behavior changes, it could mean something's up. But if they're healthy and just a bit more independent, well, then you got to meet them where they are. Figure out what they like to do. Play with a feather wand, explore boxes, just hang out with them in a sunny spot.
So be patient. Watch them closely. Learn what makes them happy.
Exactly. Each cat is different. What works for one might not work for another. It's all about trial and error. And most importantly, pay attention to what they're telling you.
So they really do love us. It's just their own way of showing it.
That's the big takeaway here.
It's been a fascinating journey into the minds of cats.
Yeah, definitely busted some myths about cats along the way, that's for sure.
So to all the cat lovers out there, keep giving those slow blinks. And remember, your cat probably loves you more than you realize. And that's it for this deep dive, folks. We'll see you next time.